No, I don't have a bloody jingle, Gavin.
I sung you one last week and you cut it from the podcast.
No, I wasn't going to put that in. There's so much swearing in it.
Oh, yeah, because there's never swearing in our podcast.
Well, there is, but it's,
Okay. I just made it musical.
It's not so condensed.
Okay, fair enough. Should we get on with the show?
Yeah, we can. We're already going, so...
Oh, you never tell me. That's fine.
Welcome to Better Luck Next Week. And as always, Gavin needs better luck every next week, figuring out when I've started the podcast or not.
He sneaks up on me because I'm not paying attention to anything that's going on. I'm just having a chat with Jared, and then suddenly a recording thing comes up, and I go, well, when did that turn up? How long have I been having this conversation about whoever knows what, and it on the podcast? But hey,
it's good that
on our list, isn't it?
It's good that.
Yeah.
Right. So massive weekend in the NFL. We'll touch on all of that in a few minutes. No Formula One Grand Prix this weekend, but it's an online. What do you call it?
Grand Prix.
It is okay.
An esports Grand Prix, which I did watch a little bit of, and that was quite interesting. Strangely, a Ferrari, an Alfa Romeo, and a Renault were the ones that came first, second, and third.
Yeah, we won't be seeing that too often this season.
I don't know how realistic the game is to real life, because that's not happening this season.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But it is Charles Leclerc's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Charles Leclerc.
Yes, so happy birthday to him. And we have to look at last week.
Yeah.
We had the Eifel Grand Prix.
Yes, Eifel, because the name of the Eifel Mountains, Jared.
Oh,
did you watch
not the Eiffel Tower, eh?
No, because it's in Germany.
Oh, well. Wasn't it I thought a German built the Eiffel Tower, or am I just well off?
You keep going, bud. Do you want to dig yourself that hole that a German built the Eiffel Tower?
Shall I go? How much further in should I go?
I think you should stop. I think what we should talk about is that of a possible 6 points to score, I've scored 4, which is my best.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's not so bad. I think... Oh, so... Yeah, I think I've got 4 as well.
Yeah. Because I got the drivers all correct, and I got one of the order.
Well, yeah, we both had Hamilton and Ricciardo.
Yeah.
And you had Verstappen too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw Lando Norris up there for some reason. I don't know. I was feeling lucky, but obviously he wasn't.
He was well in the mix until his engine decided to. Who knows what happened with that engine? He just. Yeah. I think hopefully it's a dodgy sensor that they can replace going into the next round, but he just did not sound happy.
Could you hear all that, by the way?
Hear all what? Evidently not.
Good. A bunch of construction happening out front here.
No, so Lando was doing really well. He was moving through. I was genuinely having a crisis because Hamilton had disappeared up the road and had basically shown to everyone else in the world that he is the number one driver, because Bottas tried to put a couple of moves on him, tried to hold him back, and Hamilton just went, bye.
See you later.
Sent himself off down the road. I think Bottas attempted something with tyre, didn't work. And then retired, engine problems, it's fair enough. Max Verstappen managed to actually keep within 5 seconds of him for the entire race, which I think is quite impressive. But evidently the Red Bulls weren't without trouble because Alex Albon had to retire as well. I do resent any implication that they retired him because of his driving, because there is a limit.
That kind of came out of the blue, didn't it?
Yeah, there is a little bit where I can kind of go, yes, he was driving quite aggressively, but that's what Red Bull wanted from him. They wanted someone that made aggressive lunges. They wanted someone that went from aggressive moves. And if you have a sister team or a second team like Red Bull do, it is kind of expected that when he is moving through the pack, the two secondary cars to the Red Bull should get out of his way. Not they shouldn't race him, but it is evident that those two weren't making it easy on him. I think that there were some problems with this car because evidently he was having some problems with those front wheels locking up, because that's not a problem we've seen him have all year. And then suddenly he couldn't go around a corner without the front wheels locking up. So I think maybe there was a brake balance problem. The move with Daniel Kvyat, I see is completely Daniel Kvyat's fault. Because the way I think about it, and the rule is, as soon as your front wheels are ahead of another car, that other car has to yield.
Right, because you are in front of them.
Yeah. Alex Albon was well ahead of Daniel Kvyat and moving into the, where he wanted to take the next corner. Daniel Kvyat didn't move. Daniel Kvyat had everything to lose. Alex Albon had nothing to lose. He's moving over in a Formula One car. If anyone says that they can actually see what's happening in their mirrors in a Formula One car, it's ridiculous. They're going at 170 mile an hour trying to look at a bit of glass.
Ooh, and it's like this, like that big, right?
Yeah,
it's like
not going to happen. So really, I think the onus was on Daniel Kvyat to just blip the brake a little bit, let Alex Albon through and up the road, and everything would have been fine.
Why does this keep happening to Alex Albon? It seems like we're always talking about somebody not giving the right of way to Alex Albon.
I think the thing is, from the two sister cars from the Red Bull, that they always want to prove as much as possible that they're better than Alex. Because if they can prove that they're better than Alex, they get his seat. That's how Red Bull work. Now, ignoring the fact that Alex is currently 5th in the championship, second only to, I think, Lando and maybe someone else, there's a bit of a mix there. In a Red Bull car that is apparently very difficult to deal with, and he's also a couple of upgrades behind Max Verstappen at all times. There needs to be a little bit of onus on the media here of kind of having a bit of an understanding, because we've been told that Alex Albon hasn't got the same car as Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
We've been told that the car is very difficult to deal with, and a lot of people go, well, let's get someone else in the car. I think Red Bull's onus at the moment is apparently Pierre Gasly has annoyed them. They don't want Pierre Gasly back in the car. They've said that publicly. They've said, no, Pierre Gasly is doing really well in the AlphaTauri. We don't want to move him up, which is effectively no.
Right.
Because I think that they know that car well enough that they know that they have designed a car around Max Verstappen, and any other driver that gets in it's going to struggle. They know that. Because when they're doing testing, they will have put other drivers behind the wheel of that car, and they probably would have got a very similar result. So it doesn't baffle me that they haven't replaced Alex Albon this year, because evidently the car's an absolute pig to drive. So it doesn't surprise me.
Well, and to put everything into context, Pierre Gasly, 10th in the driver's standings, 53 points. Albon 7th with 64 points, 1 behind Norris, 4 behind Perez in 5th, and then Perez is 10 points behind Ricciardo.
Yeah, so he's not a bad. He's a good race result away from being, back in the punt.
So I'm back to this race. Bottas out, Ocon out, Albon, Norris all out. Kvyat finished last, so it doesn't matter. Roman Grosjean gets 2 points for coming in 9th.
I don't think either he or Kevin Magnussen are going to have a seat next year, honestly.
You think they're both gone?
I think they're both
13th in this race, by the way.
Kevin Magnussen has already proved himself a petulant child. Because he's just like, we always complained about drivers moaning on the radio. Kevin Magnussen is the poster boy for that. Because he'll be driving around going, the car's crap, and you're just like, shut up.
Well, and
We know the car's crap.
if Magnussen's a petulant child, then what is Grosjean?
Roman Grosjean's on the unemployment line.
On the
because
he's a newborn on the unemployment line,
yeah,
eh?
Yeah. If, let's say, worst case scenario, Alex Albon loses his job at Red Bull this year, he will drive another race car.
Oh, yeah.
Because he will either bounce and move across to sports cars, at which point he's someone that is at, a level of talent where he could race in Formula One and get a podium in Formula One, which means you're going to go somewhere else and you're going to earn a living. And he's always got the bounce back of, well, the Red Bull was a bit crap and I was struggling to drive it, and teams will go, okay, we'll give you a punt. Who's going to take Romain Grosjean? He's a guy that crashes,
constantly.
Crashes constantly, drives dangerously all the time, and you just go, what are you doing?
I think there's Formula 2 teams that wouldn't take Romain Grosjean at this point. So to cap that off, I'm wearing pink because what's his face? Lance Stroll was apparently over a toilet for most of the weekend. So Nico Hülkenberg came in again and finished 8th. So good for him.
Can we talk about how no team has gone, oh, we should pick up Nico Hülkenberg? Like, if you're a Haas at the moment,
yeah,
and you're thinking, we've got one rookie we really want to bring in, but we need someone dependable. He hadn't driven the car before qualifying, got in it, drove it in qualifying, admittedly, was 3 seconds off the pace, but he hasn't driven the car. He didn't know the circuit.
Yeah.
He went out in FP1 and was like figuring it out.
Right, because he drove Perez's car last time, so it's a different car this again.
Yeah. Set up differently, feels different. Yeah. He finished 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know the car.
So he got Stroll 4 points.
No, the points don't carry over.
He doesn't know?
No, Nico Hülkenberg, even though he's only raced twice, has his own points. They're separate.
Oh, so he does. So he's raced in 2 races
and
has more points than 6 drivers who have raced the whole year.
Yes.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This includes Antonio Giovinazzi, Kimi Räikkönen, Romain Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen, Nicholas Latifi, and George Russell.
Yeah. So
now, Russell and Latifi, I mean, we can kind of go, okay, well, Williams is a little bit crap.
Yeah.
But those other drivers, like
the rest of those drivers, I don't think you will see next year.
Even Kimi, for me, I'm like, okay, you can't get it into the top 10, Kimi, really? Like, do you not care that much, or is it actually that bad? The Alfa Romeo.
I mean, I think the thing for me with Kimi is Kimi is a good racing driver. He won't have won a world championship if he didn't. But Formula One is changing. It's a younger grid. If you're the marketing team for a race team at the moment, if you're McLaren, you're loving it. You've got Lando Norris, who does 90% of your marketing for you because he's always all over social media and everyone loves him. If you're Mercedes, you've got Lewis Hamilton all over social media. If you're Ferrari, you've got Charles Leclerc. All of these guys, social media megastars, like they, constantly pumping out content. Even, what's the word I'm looking for? Even Williams have got George Russell, who is always on Twitch and stuff like that, and you go, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, and Russell always jumps in on those Eve Grand Prix and everything. Yeah. Like, he's always on playing as well, right?
Yeah. If you're the guy who's trying to do the social media for Kimi, he doesn't want to do any social media. He doesn't want pictures taken of him. He doesn't want to do interviews. You're like...
The most content that gets posted of Kimi Räikkönen is him being a joker on the track on the F1 Instagram.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get anything out of him, which I kind of understand because he's just like, I'm just here to race. I don't really understand the talking bit of it. Yeah. My favourite bit was all the other drivers were weaving backwards and forwards. And he didn't. And someone turned around to him and went, Kimmy, how do you keep the tyres warm? And he went, I drive fast. Fair enough, Kimmy.
Yeah.
But
I put my foot down and I go.
Yeah. He's another one that if you had a choice between paying him however many £1 million a year you're paying him because you're going to have to, or putting all that money somewhere else in the team and
signing Nico Hulkenberg,
who's
4 points behind Danny Kvyat in the standings,
or signing a rookie. I think you're going to see a few more rookies in F1 next year because it's going to be easier than whoever they've got in the cars at the moment.
I mean, we're going to see a few more rookies. I think Fernando Alonso isn't quite ready for what he's signing up for, but I mean, we'll see in 2022. We'll wrap it up there.
Yes.
Because we've got so much to talk about in NFL. And
it's been a big week.
Like, massive week. And we'll just, you know what, we'll just start with the games from last week. Okay, and we'll go through as we see fit with all of the stories. And the first game is the Texans just smothering the Jaguars 30-14. Yeah. Which I believe was a win for both of us. First win for the Texans. And I mean, we were talking before we went on, this was a totally different team.
Oh, dude. Just the way that it was like the DNA of the team was back because the Texans have never been a massive running team. They have a run game now, but it's not as good as other teams. Deshaun was just passing. He was just doing what you wanted him to do. Sat back in the pocket, run to one side, run to the other. Ball, 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 ball. And he was playing like a man that enjoyed it. That Texans defensive line, it was like you had pulled a pin out of J.J. Watt. He didn't get a sack, but dear mother of God, that offensive lineman had a busy day because he just came after them on every single play. And that was what that defensive line wants to do. They don't want to sit back. They don't want to let the game come to them. You've got a bunch of aggressive guys on your front line. Let them play. And they did. They won the game.
It's almost like the problem was Bill O'Brien. I mean, I think if they had DeAndre Hopkins in this game, it would have been 47-14.
Oh, dude. I wonder if they're going to
had an extra 17 points or something.
Can we switch back?
Can
we give you back David Johnson?
We hit the undo button on the trade, please. Where's Control-Alt-Delete? Reverse.
Yeah, hey, there was some guy working for us, and we're just undoing everything he did. Can you send DeAndre back over?
Yeah, sounds like most of politics, to be honest.
Yeah. Can you send him back? Yeah, okay, cool. What's the next game?
The Bungles not even putting up a fight against the Ravens. I don't think we need to talk about that one very much, but it was 27-3. Yeah. Expected. Now, this is the first big story of the week, and not necessarily having to do with this game, but the Falcons lost again to the Panthers 23-16. Mm-hmm. So I think we're both at 3 in a row so far to kick off the week. Yeah. But the Atlanta Falcons have shut down their facility because of more COVID tests. Mm-hmm. And your question to me was, how does this affect their next game? Well, I don't think they play their next game.
Yeah.
If they do, the NFL is absolutely insane and has no respect or just
the thing
any kind of concept of player safety whatsoever.
The thing I hope, and I can't see it in the season at the moment, is that they don't try and do a thing where they go, well, that team was meant to have a bye week that week. Let's put that game in there. I think we either need 2 weeks on the end of the season where they kind of figure out all the games that they didn't manage to play or something along those lines, because I don't think it's fair to turn around to a team and go, well, you've lost your bye week now, so we can fit this game in, so everything fits in our schedule. Like if the Super Bowl,
and effectively that's what they've already done to who was it? The Bills?
Yeah, which
right?
They didn't end up playing that. They didn't end up
because they had already had that Tuesday game that was going to be the first Tuesday game since like 1983 or some crap.
Yeah.
And the Falcons this week are set to not only play the Vikings, but travel to Minnesota after they've had their facility shut down because it's ramped with COVID. Do not let them go anywhere. For God's sake.
It's just dumb. I mean, you've got two options. One, now I know the NFL is taking the testing of players and all that kind of stuff very seriously. So I know they would not send anyone that is positive anywhere. But if you've got 4 or 5 cases, let's say those 4 or 5 cases are your starters, you're not facing a real team.
Well, I don't even care who they are. They've all been interacting. They've all been breathing on each other in practice.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It doesn't matter, right? They're all, slapping each other's asses in, recognition of a good play.
Yeah, there's no, yeah.
We'll move on. Yeah, the Chiefs losing to the Raiders 40-32.
Which I think is more the Chiefs not being... I don't know what was going on with the Chiefs' defense in this game, honestly. I don't know. I mean...
Especially in it looks like the second quarter, there was just no defense to be found whatsoever.
There was one play on the secondary where, look, I'm not a massive fan of Derek Carr, but he can throw a football. And in certain situations, I go, okay, if the guy is within a foot of you and you've managed to get separation and you catch the ball, that's fair enough. That guy, there's a few things where I go, that guy in coverage has done the best he can in coverage. That's a well-thrown pass. But there are a few things with these Raiders where the guy broke off the line, the wide receiver broke off the line. The cornerback is 10 yards deep already. He's not face-to-face with him on the line. He gets 10 yards deep, at which point the guy's already got head of steam. He doesn't put a hand on him. He doesn't try to slow him down. He doesn't annoy him or anything like that. He runs next to him, and the guy just outpaces him. And you just see a cornerback watching a wide receiver run away from him, at which point you go, as a defensive coordinator, you go, shit, we might need to bring the secondaries in on this because, we might need safety help here because we aren't managing to hold this guy.
The cornerback sat there and just going, oh, wow, he's really good at running, isn't he? Wow.
Yeah. And then Derek Carr just throws him the pass. And he just, they did that a couple of times where you just go,
make an effort.
If that cornerback is getting absolutely obliterated because the wide receiver got a 10-yard run-up before he gets anywhere near him, put him in one-on-one coverage. Just go, you are going to mark him for the rest of the game. Doesn't matter what anyone else is doing on the rest of the field. You keep an eye on him. Because that's all that happened in this game. It wasn't the fact that the Chiefs didn't play good football because Patrick Mahomes was still Patrick Mahomes. They still put up 32 points, which is respectable.
Mm-hmm. They just forgot to play defense.
Their defense just... I don't think it matters how good you are as a quarterback. If your defense lets 40 points go on, if you're 40 points in the fourth quarter, you're like, that's not Patrick Mahomes' fault anymore because he doesn't play defensive back. That's the defense's fault. And I think that's a point that the Chiefs need to go, wow, we need to figure something out here. Because that Patrick's going to bail you out, but that's not good enough.
Cardinals Jets 30-10 for the Cardinals. Pretty standard, except for what the Jets did after the game. And that was release probably the only other recognizable name other than Sam Darnold on their team. And that's Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell has had a checkered history with the Jets because he held out for a year and then he came back and they lost a lot. And it's not like he's playing badly. So I think actually, to be honest, he's done a very smart thing and turned around and gone, I'm a very good running back. I don't need to be ruining my body for a team that is not doing well. I don't need to be destroying my body to lose by 20, 30 points because the other team, because there's no point.
Right. I mean, he's playing with guys, effectively.
Hello?
Right? He's playing
Hello?
with guys. What?
Can't hear you, bud.
Well, that's strange. My
Can't
mic,
hear you still.
everything's working.
Have you muted yourself?
No.
Ah, there we go. There we go. Sorted itself out. It had a blip.
Did you mute your computer? Oh, now you've muted yourself. Now unmute, yes.
There we go. Anyway.
Good Lord.
Technical difficulties. Yeah.
Absolutely
it makes sense to me.
On by Gavin.
Yes. Sorry.
Well, and here's
a
bunch of things that I'm seeing just by Googling his name. The Jets general manager apparently tried to literally just hand Le'Veon Bell to the Patriots. Apparently. Le'Veon also considered joining the Dolphins or the Bills, but signed with the Chiefs 19 hours ago.
Yeah. Which, the funniest thing about that is he didn't care how much money he was paid, because the Jets have paid him $28 million for something like 10 games that he's eventually played.
He's already got most of his money from the contract.
Yeah. What I don't understand is, how bad are you of a GM that you've got a guy that is a reputable player, he's a good player. Okay, yes, he's had some problems with holding out and all that kind of stuff, but you can't get anything for him? You've got 32 teams you can call and give them a running back for effectively magic beans. Like, they don't have to pay him anything because he wants out. But all you need from him, like, just get like a third rounder.
Yeah, something.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're the Jets. You're obviously not going to be good. So you've made yourself worse and got nothing for it.
Yep. Steelers, Eagles. The Steelers one. Yep, that just...
Well, and we have to give a shout out to the Canadian on the Steelers who caught 4 of their touchdowns to get them up to 38 points. That's Chase Claypool, rookie receiver. And this young lad is basically setting a new bar for Canadian talent in the NFL, I think.
Imagine what the Steelers could do if they could hold on to their wide receiver talent. Because, I mean, if they'd managed to somehow keep hold of Antonio Brown, they'd have Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and this guy.
They'd be even more unstoppable than they've already been.
They'd be one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Right. Now, me personally, I'm going to put a small asterisk on their 5-0 start, and that's simply because they've played relatively awful teams. We can go all the way through. They started against the Giants.
Yeah, Jared, no matter how you do that, but it's still going to be 4 games, not 5.
Then they play the Texans, and then they had a week off, which is why it's 4 games, not 5. And then they played the Eagles. So they're 4-0.
Yeah, not 5-0.
Hey, you know what? I mean, who are they playing next week? The Browns. So, okay, well, that's going to be a good game, actually. I'm not going to hand them that win.
No.
Regardless.
Yeah. The next was the 49ers and the Dolphins. What happened there?
I really don't know.
Whatever side of the bed that Fitzpatrick is waking up on, the Dolphins need to put a wall on the other side, because
and he doesn't get up the wrong way.
How does he do that? The San Francisco 49ers, whatever happened on the offensive side of the ball, we'll talk about in a minute, but they have Richard Sherman in their secondary. They have a talented, defensive team. They're not that bad. They went to the fucking Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they just let 43 points go unanswered against
the Dolphins.
Dolphins. If the Ravens had done that to you, I'd be annoyed. The Dolphins did that,
and it was right off the bat too.
They're just
Most of their points came in the first half, and Garoppolo had no answer for it and was in fact pulled at halftime after throwing 2 interceptions. Is he okay?
I think he's fine because he's one of those ones that has proved that he can do it because he did take a team to the postseason. I think whatever problem's going on there is going on elsewhere in that team.
Are you sure?
I don't think the problem is with the QB.
He did it once, though. Is it a one-off? I mean, I'm kind of starting to lean towards the one-off thing.
Maybe. I don't know as well. The 49ers obviously did get very far. I don't know if there's an element of they've paid some people so much that now what they're putting around Jimmy G isn't as good. And he doesn't have the talent that Tom had, which was making very little out of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If that made sense. He went into a San Francisco team that was very talented, which if you've been in the Bill Belichick school of quarterback teaching for the past however many years, you're going to be okay with having that talent. But if you then move to a not so talented team, the talent's not there as much, you're then going to start having some problems because, and we've argued about this before, I don't think people understand just how important people like Julian Edelman were to the Patriots and Steelers. He is the ultimate safety blanket. He's open. It's a very, very important thing to kind of point out that there's an element of, yes, Tom Brady was there and all that kind of stuff, but you did have a wide receiver that if you threw the ball to him was going to catch it. He might not be Odell. He might not catch a 75-yard bomb with one hand, but if he's gone 10 yards and broken out left or right, he's going to catch the ball.
Well, obviously Jimmy needs some more help because it's not going well, and he's not broken either. So something's going to give in San Francisco. We did skip over a game, and that's the Rams and the Washington W.
I mean, Washington lost.
Well, they did, and it was the return of Alex Smith, and we can touch on that a little bit. It was, his family was there, and they were able to see it protected. Because I guess limited fans are being allowed in Washington now.
I can understand a fan being put in the stadium because as long as you give them 2 seats next to each other and 2 seats behind them, and you're quite smart with how you get people in and out of the stadium, if it's a stadium designed for the capacity of 50,000 people, even if you put 5,000 people in it, you can social distance those people very well. And it's open air, so it's technically outside. So I can accept that.
Yeah. It was not exactly a triumphant return for Alex, but nonetheless, he's had a tough road to get back, and he is back now. Maybe he can do something for this Washington team to, I don't know, give them some sort of reason to care, because I haven't seen many at the moment. We'll jump right into the Cowboys and Giants, and the Cowboys barely pulled this one off, and that's partly because Dak Prescott. That was nasty.
I haven't. I know that it was a compound ankle break, wasn't it? And compound is a doctor term for fucked.
Basically.
Like when I work in the health sector. Whenever I get an email from a doctor saying a client's coming to me and they've got compounded issues, that means it's fucked.
Multiple.
They conducted surgery on it. later that night. So evidently he's got in. I don't suspect that an NFL team sends their quarterback to anyone that doesn't know exactly what they're doing. I'd say he was probably phoned to the best person in the country.
Or at least the best person in Dallas.
Yeah. And that guy probably made a very good job of it, and hopefully Dak will be back soon. I don't think his Cowboys are going to be in a position for a playoff run when he comes back, if I'm honest. But
yeah, maybe certainly not now.
Maybe they come back and he's able to get some wide receiver help, because I think that's a position where they are a little bit lacking. So maybe they're able to, be a 15, number 15 in the draft, sorry. And they're able to pick someone that's going to make a bit of a difference, maybe give that defense a bit more, do what the Browns have did, drafting Myles Garrett or someone like that, someone that's got some defensive edge to them. Maybe that can do a lot for them.
You don't want them to pick an offensive lineman, Gav. Right. Yes, we wish Prescott is likely. Yeah. Oh, sorry. You have a retort?
Yeah. Bill Belichick is going to go down as the greatest coach of all time, the worst draft guy ever. Ever.
Probably.
Ooh, large white man that runs slowly. That's what we want.
Injected into his veins.
It's like when you go to the shops for your girlfriend or your significant other.
No, and they say, don't, but go on.
Yeah, okay. Stick with the point. You go, oh yeah, can you get strawberries and you can get this and then can you get that? And you half listen. And then on your way home, you're driving past the convenience store and you realise, oh shit, I need cream. And you go in and you get like off-brand, the worst possible cream you can find or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like £2.
Yeah, it's like really expensive and like tiny amounts and stuff like that. So you end up buying like 60 of them. I think that's what Bill does. He goes to the draft and he's like, okay, I need offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers. Okay, yeah, that's everything. All right, I'm going to go. And on the way home, he drives into 7-Eleven and goes, shit, wide receivers. Crap.
Ooh, a quarterback. Damn
it.
In the bargain bin, I guess, lads.
Yeah. Or literally gets the guy that's behind the counter and goes, like, maybe that's what he does. He needs to buy beans and he chucks them to the counter. The guy catches him and goes, hey, would you like to be a wide receiver for the Patriots? And the guy goes, oh, sure. And then he just staggers in. And Tom Brady goes, who's this?
Yeah, I meant to throw to this one.
Down the road.
Right, so Prescott out officially 4 to 6 months, so we wish him well.
Yeah.
The Browns beat the Colts 32-23, so the opposite score.
Yeah.
32, reverse it, you get 23. And people want Phillip Rivers' head in Indianapolis.
Costing them so much money.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those situations where they've paid so much for Phillip Rivers, I guess, that they haven't been able to put anything around him.
I will always raise the argument that I think what a lot of these quarterbacks don't realise is it's all well and good demanding a 20 million, 25 million, 30 million pound a year contract, but that 10 million that you're putting on top of your contract, that's 5 million they can't give to 2 good wide receivers for you.
Also, what grounds does Phillip Rivers have to ask for this kind of money?
I don't know. You know my stance on this.
Right.
Don't get me going because we'll be here for the rest of the night. But there's some guys who can turn around and go, yeah, I want some money. And even Patrick Mahomes, who's won a Super Bowl, right? His deal with the Chiefs is very clever. It's structured in a way where some years they can pay him 5 million. Some years they'll have to pay him 30 million. But they can structure the deal in a way where they go, sorry, Pat, we're going to have to pay some wide receivers this year. You're only going to get 7 million. And Pat will go, okay, guys, because they know that, he's going to be worth it. And I think he understands the importance that, he wants a really, really, really good contract. But there has to be an element of understanding that you need other people around you, because there is no way that Philip Rivers has got the contract he has and the team hasn't had to take some sacrifices. And those sacrifices are the reason they're not winning.
He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, which means in his 16-year career, that means he's missed the playoffs half of his career.
Yeah. The Pro Bowl is pointless.
Right. And it's for the people that don't make the what is it? The playoffs or the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Well, the problem is that the team, if you actually had a Pro Bowl, you need to have it about 6 weeks after the Super Bowl, because the Pro Bowl is all the teams and all the players where they've called the players that are on the teams that are making the playoffs, and those players have gone, no, I'm in the playoffs, bye. And then they've gone to the next guy down. Like the quarterbacks that are in the Pro Bowl are never the best quarterback that year, because the best quarterbacks that year are going to be playing in the Super Bowl in a week's time. So it's
most
dumb.
likely.
Well,
this guy, like, just to keep harping on Philip Rivers a bit more, this guy hasn't done anything notable since 2013 when he was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year and led in completion percentage.
Right. And the thing is, the only reason he's led in completion percentage and not interception percentage is because someone didn't catch the ball. Yeah, I don't understand why they've paid him so much. I'm pretty sure if you were the Colts, I think you needed to accept that you lost Andrew Luck. You've lost a few influential players on your team. Let's rebuild. Let's build an offensive line, build a defensive line, and get a young QB in and start again.
I think realistically, you could have signed Philip Rivers as a stopgap, which is, I think, effectively what he is. But you shouldn't have paid this much for him. To me, it's just not worth it.
No, you could have got Case Keenum, who would have been just as good of a quarterback, and you could have paid him $5 million for the year, and he would.
Yeah, it's a 1 year, $25 million contract with a $12 million signing bonus. Why?
We should negotiate NFL contracts. Because we'd fucking sort it out. Like just me and you sat across my desk, and fucking like Derek Carr comes in and goes, "I want $60 million a year. Where's your Super Bowl rings? I haven't got any." Okay.
Have you completed more? Did you have a higher quarterback rating than Tom Brady this past season?
No.
Okay, so
okay. Did you make more successful passes than Patrick Mahomes? No. Okay, so here's what we're going to do.
However many points you are below Tom Brady on the quarterback rating is how many millions of dollars we're going to remove from Tom Brady's contract base, which is therefore what you can get paid.
Yeah. Tom Brady should be the limit. If Tom Brady's being paid $20 million a year, right? Unless you're beating Tom Brady.
Everyone's lower than that.
My first conversation should be, okay, right, so you want to be paid the same as Tom Brady. Okay. So he's got 6 Super Bowl rings. So let's knock off $1 million a time, yeah? Okay, so you're already down to 14 million. Did you take us to the postseason last year?
No.
Okay, that's another 2 million off right there. Okay.
Only 2, eh? That's a.
Yep. Yeah, I'm being nice. Okay. Right. Have you been injured? No. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a £3 million signing bonus, £6 million for the year, and then the rest of the 12 million, £1 million if we make it to the postseason, £1 million if we make it to the championship game, £1 million if we win the Super Bowl. There you go. And then
you could maybe put in some individual performance incentives there as well.
Yeah. And then if we're on 12 million and you win a Super Bowl, we'll bump it up to 13 for you. There you go.
Facebook agreed with that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Right. Seahawks and Vikings.
Seahawks won, but not by a lot.
No. A bit of an off game for the Seahawks. And actually, the Seahawks were down in this game they were shut out of the first half. And then Russell Wilson just went into the dressing room and just went, what the actual hell? And then came out and scored 21 points.
Yeah. Russell Wilson is very good. But I think he needs the rest of the team to kind of go, shit, we need to be on Russell Wilson's fucking go. Because Russell Wilson can't complete the rest of the year with DK Metcalf going, okay, bud. Because if you can get a really good running game going on that team again, beef up the defense a little bit, you're a Super Bowl team again. Just done.
The Patriots did not play their game.
No.
So we can move right on to the Saints-Chargers. That was a close one too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Saints got it by 3, 30-27. So that was a bit rough, but I mean...
Another overpaid quarterback, in my opinion, but we'll move on.
And it was in overtime. So that came down to whose kicker was better, which is basically the majority of NFL overtime.
Yeah. The Titans, Bills, mother of God, the Titans are just... They're not... The thing is as well is that they've kind of tricked everyone, right? They've got Derrick Henry, who is a 260-pound, 6'4" behemoth. I mean, that stiff arm he put on that player... Jesus Christ!
Sit down.
Guy. I mean, everyone's lining up and having a go at this kid. The kid cornerback. He's a grown man.
Kid.
He's cornerback. He weighs at best 200 pounds, which means that Derrick Henry has got 60 pounds on him and a full head of steam. That is an open field tackle that you just look and go, oh, I'm going to be on someone's highlight reel.
And it's not for the good reason.
Not for the good reason. And it is you getting tossed like a rag doll by Derrick Henry, who went, I want to go to the end zone, bitch. Woof. That is one of those ones where as a cornerback you have a choice. You go in for the tackle and try and body him, which is nothing. My opinion would be, you just dive for the legs and just, like, I don't know, send a message to your mum in a prayer. You just go, love you, mum.
Yeah.
Go for the legs.
Try and get both his feet when they're together at the same time and lock your fingers together. Yeah. Just go, get down. Or are you just gonna get dragged by one leg as he just trundles along like a rhinoceros?
But the Titans have Tannehill, who I think is coming and proving that he can play because he threw 4 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah.
And they have the ability that what they're making you do is they're punishing you with the run. Because Derrick Henry does not mind running straight into a defensive lineman. In fact, I think he rather enjoys it because it's quite funny to watch a 320-pound man bounce. And then when you go, crap, let's bring everyone in, let's bring the linebackers in, let's bring the cornerbacks in, let's stack the hole because Derrick is going to come through, they just start throwing passes on you, and they have a good enough team because Ryan Tannehill isn't demanding millions and millions a year. They can put some good guys around him. And he's got some guys he can throw some passes to. Who's surprised?
Shocking. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but like in hockey, the same argument kind of gets made sometimes, right? Like the Maple Leafs have $40 million invested in 4 players. Mm-hmm. And everybody goes, oh, well, how are they going to win if they've got this much money invested in 4 people? And hockey is different in the sense that there's much fewer guys on the ice that you have to pay, and they go in shifts. Whereas if you've got a crap defensive line or a crap receiving core, well, that's half the game.
Yeah, you've lost so much.
And it's so much more because there's more guys there. There's more, right?
Yeah,
so like I don't know. And I mean, NFLers just make more money than NHLers anyways.
Yeah.
So anyway, to wrap that up, I was 10 for 13, which is not bad. I think you're similar, shouldn't you? I mean, we basically picked the same ones for most of them, I think.
12. So you said you were 10 for
13, because the Chiefs game got canceled, and the other Chiefs game, and then the Patriots game got canceled too, or moved, or whatever. I don't know. The schedule's all screwy.
Oh, I'm 12 for 13.
Wow. Well, because you picked the Bills too, right? So that's that's the loss. But you didn't. Who did you you pick the Dolphins?
No, the one I lost on was the 49ers. So I did pick the Dolphins. I don't know why I did. I've got written down the Dolphins. I'm surprised at myself.
Wow.
Hmm?
I don't remember. Yeah, that's quite surprising. And then you picked the Titans?
Yeah. My thought was that the run game. So
yeah, I think the Bills got a bit of a wake up call there too.
Yeah.
Anyways, should we go through next week then?
Yes.
Or I guess next week, I mean this weekend, starting with the Titans and the Texans.
I think this is a very important game. My reasoning is the Titans have nothing to lose here. Not that they have anything to lose. They have a game to lose, which is always important. For the Texans, this is a point-proving game. Because if they can beat an 0-4 team, they prove that Bill O'Brien and the GM was the problem. If you have got a team, in my opinion, that are stacked to kind of put the Titans in their place, it's that defensive front of the Texans, which I think you just say, boys, you go. You just hunt Derrick Henry and you hunt Ryan Tannehill, and you just go for them. Because if there's a bunch of guys that are going to see Derrick Henry coming through the hole and go, we haven't been allowed to lay the hurt on someone all year. It's going to be guys like J.J. Watt who've been told, no, sit back all year, let the run come to you. No, he's going to want to attack, and let them attack. So I think if the Texans win this game, they're who I've put down as my pick. I think the Texans prove that Bill O'Brien was the problem, which will be very upsetting to me, not because they proved Bill O'Brien's the problem, but they'll have proved that actually they were a very good team for probably quite a few years now.
Right, and they've just been basically wasting their time with this guy, holding on to him for way too long and letting him trade one of the top 5 receivers in the league.
Yeah, and the only way that they get anywhere near a playoff run at this point is if they
just tailor their game to the players that they have, which is not what Bill O'Brien did.
No. If they can run down the stretch and go, I mean, even if they go 8-8, we might get lucky and they might be able to sneak a wild card, but the division that they're in, I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think they're going to make it this year, if I'm honest, which is sad because imagine what they'd have done if they got rid of Bill O'Brien at the start of the year, because they could have very easily been 4-1.
Or again, when Bill O'Brien went to ownership and went, I'm going to trade DeAndre Hopkins. Like I said last week, that's I'm sorry, what?
You're fucking
Shut the door.
Bud.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Bill. Thanks for your idiocy.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
You have a guy that can take the top off of almost any defense.
You're very popular today, Gav.
Yeah, sorry. We've got some drivers out on the road that are having problems, and I'm getting messages.
You're getting because you're a mechanic as well, so everybody goes, Gavin, how do I fix my car?
The word mechanic hurts a little bit, bud. I'm an engineer.
Well, but I mean, like, you've been a mechanic with vehicles, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know your official title isn't that.
Yeah, use my official title.
Sorry.
Thank you. I work hard for my official title.
Ravens. They're playing the Eagles, so not much of a question there. Falcons and Vikings. This is kind of a game of
Vikings.
who's worse. I'm picking the Vikings.
I'm picking the Vikings, but
Okay.
I think that this is where Kirk Cousin does what Kirk Cousin does, which is play a couple of decent games and goes, and oh no, my knees exploded again, and then he has the rest of the season.
I could still play, sort of.
No, I can stand on the sidelines. Not really.
Well, and we've already now come to the biggest game of the weekend.
Definitely watching this one. This is going to be a good game.
And that's the Browns and the Steelers. And this is a fight for the division lead, is it not?
Yes. So currently the Steelers are 4-0. The Browns are 4-1. So if the Browns win this game, they go to 5-1, and they are leading the division.
Right.
Probably, to be honest, with the game that the Ravens are about to have, tied with the Ravens. But I think that they will have it on points. But I think if the Browns can beat the Steelers, they prove that they're a real deal. Not that they haven't already, but I think that this is the game where they kind of put it in the ground and go, this isn't the Cleveland Browns that are going to win a few games and move on. This is the Cleveland Browns. We are here. We're not the Mick Take team anymore. We are here to play. I think as well, there's going to be a little bit of a pivot in this game from a heavy run team. I think that they are going to unleash Baker a little bit. Not in the way where he's going to throw interceptions, because I think he has realised, not that he is, but I think he feels at the moment he's the weak point in this team. He is the weakest link. And that's not who he is as a person. That's not who he is as a player. When you saw him at Oklahoma, he can throw the ball into a tight window. And I think he's
done that. He's done that this year too.
Yeah.
So I think what the Browns need to do is they need to use Odell to his full capacity.
Yeah.
Because we've seen how versatile he can be in the past couple of games, running and catching.
Yeah.
On all sides of the field. So put him in.
I think you set up Odell and Jarvis, maybe with Hollywood on the outside, maybe with Hollywood as well. Put Kareem Hunt in the backfield and just let them start to pick a defense apart, because you can see now that Baker has that trust in Jarvis and Odell. He threw some balls to them that the commentators go, don't know if I'd have thrown that, but he's thrown those balls to them and it hasn't been punished. So I think he knows what he can get away with. I think there were a few where he's kind of let it slip. And I think that's him in his head going, Jesus Christ, the defense are covering this. The offense and the running side of the ball, the passing is where this is letting us down. I need to step my shit up.
Right. The next, how many of these next games do we really care about? I mean, geez,
I'll rattle through a few of them. So
I guess we'll make a pick
the
on the
Bengals
next
and the
few.
Colts. I'd say Colts.
I'm going to go Bengals. Or Bungles.
Really?
Yep, because first of all, I want to be opposite you, and I think that Phillip Rivers is going to have another crap game.
Okay.
Lions, Jags.
Jags.
Okay, I'm going to go Lions because I want to be opposite you again.
Okay.
Might be a really bad week for me. Bears.
Don't make me pick the Panthers.
I'm claiming the Bears. Do it, Gav.
Damn it.
I have to get one of them in there first.
The next one is awful. You can't make me pick either team here because both suck.
Yeah, but I think we have to go Washington.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm going to go Washington. If you want to go opposite me, good luck, mate.
Dude, we look more athletic than the current fucking New York Giants.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. They built a team on the back of Saquon Barkley, not realizing that he was Saquon Barkley and you can't plug another running back in and do what he does.
Apparently not. Patriots.
Yeah.
It's over the Broncos.
I don't even know. This one.
I mean, should we flip a coin?
No, it's good. It's going to be the Dolphins.
I guess so, yeah.
43 points against San Francisco and then not be the pick.
Fitzmagic will show up again.
It honestly depends on what side of the bed that Fitzmagic wakes up on.
Fair.
Completely depends which side of the bed he wakes up on.
Well, but the Jets don't have a run game anymore either, so who cares?
They don't have a game.
No, they have a practice. They have a practice and then go, oh, wait, why is the other team here?
There's not a defensive line. There's not a secondary. There's not a pass game. There's Sam Darnold on his own trying to figure something out.
Trying to tread water in 18-foot tsunami waves. Just being hurled at the other team.
Yeah. The next one is an interesting one.
Yeah, I think this is the second best game this weekend.
Yeah.
Packers and Bucks.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
I mean, you effectively have two of the top three quarterbacks.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers.
Okay, you're going to go Bucks. I'm going to go Packers then.
Okay. Well, your mum is a Packers fan.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of feel obligated to take the Packers, but I also this is a game that I think could go either way, and that's another reason why I want to be opposite.
Okay.
So I'm okay with that.
49ers, Rams.
You know, I'm going to go with the Rams.
I'm going to go 49ers. I think. Oh, and I'm not because I'm going to drop my bloody podcast book. Lose my page. There it is.
We haven't done that many. Yeah, you'll find it fast.
I found it. 49ers. Bills, Chiefs.
I mean,
now,
I gotta go Chiefs.
I'm going to go Bills.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs had a rough time last week.
I don't know whatever happened there, but I think something's going to. And then Cowboys, Cardinals. I don't know.
I would go with the Cardinals.
I'm going to go Cowboys, mostly because the other team is the Cardinals.
Yeah, but you've got Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. The Cardinals' offense is...
And the rest of that offense, Jared. Let's not forget that they have Larry Fitzgerald, who admittedly is doing deep routes with a bloody stretcher at this point, but still can catch everything.
But you also have the Cowboys, who are without Dak Prescott and have not been able to win with Dak Prescott. Right, I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
This kind of leads us into our last little topic here, and we can spend a bit of time on it because we've just passed the hour mark.
Okay.
But so I changed my background a little bit because I wanted to have more than just red hockey jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw up my Hamilton Tiger Cats jersey for football and then a Leafs jersey as well, just to splash a little bit of different color in there other than red. But I did that partly because we've had more big free agent signings, the biggest one being Alex Pietrangelo going to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Still a stupid name.
He apparently wasn't too happy about leaving St. Louis because he was the captain and he'd been there his whole career and whatnot. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But I mean, this whole situation where, you know, the NHL and the salary cap and it's not going up, so everyone has to suddenly jam their team under the cap from last season, which admittedly probably only would have gone up about $2-ish million. Like it was $81.5 million this past year. It's staying there now.
Between how many people?
A 23 man roster, fully, like to full capacity. So $81.5 million. You know, it might have gone up to 83 or 85 million in any normal season coming up if we had, you know, which would have already started at this point into week 2 or 3 by now. Mm-hmm. Would have been the 2020-2021 regular season.
Yeah.
And the cap probably would have gone up a bit more, you know, like I was saying. And now we've got basically I mean, I watched a video on it done by the hockey guy, who's great, by the way. If you're interested in hockey, I mean, he just sits there, presses record, and has a whiteboard up and just goes. And then he hits the stop button at the end. He rarely edits, and he just pumps out content. And he's so good. And he was just talking, he had everything all set up on every team, how much money they had left on the cap, but also their restricted free agents. And those are the guys that are important, because you have to either qualify or sign a new contract with them. And then based on how much their original, based on how much their qualifying offer would be, can you fit that under the cap, or do you want to offer them a bit more because they had a good few years? Can you fit that? And, basically 6 teams in the NHL actually have any kind of space when you take it all into account.
Yeah, it becomes a financial night.
Yeah, and it's partially due to bad contracts, but also because of the situation we're in. And I have always kind of believed that in the NHL specifically, it's the only league in North America now that has a hard salary cap. Everyone else has a soft cap or no cap at all.
I don't agree with no cap at all.
I guess that's like the NFL has a soft cap, I guess, and so does the NBA. Yeah. But the MLB doesn't really seem to have a cap at all.
Remind me again. So hard cap is that they can't go over that amount at all.
Right. Even then, in the NHL, there's still workarounds where you can spend over the cap, but they're not playing for your team with this whole long-term injury reserve bollocks that the Leafs got around. The Leafs effectively acquired 2 guys that were being paid $5 million+ each that weren't going to play, threw them on LTIR, and then got $10 million of extra cap, basically. So they were allowed to spend $10 extra million over $81.5 million. So the Leafs effectively had $91 million of players on their team, but because 2 of them were on LTIR, they were able to spend $10 more million for other players. It's so messed up that, I don't understand why you have a hard cap anyways.
What's the difference between a soft cap and a hard cap?
So a soft cap is where you have a target of, so $81.5 million. If you go over that, you can, if you can afford it, but you pay a penalty for doing it. So a luxury tax kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I really believe that the NHL should go to this, because then not only are you allowing teams that have money to spend more of it and be more successful. I mean, honestly, it's bad for the league when you have teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Rangers, like the original 6 teams, the Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, that don't do well. Like Boston has been good for a while now.
Yeah.
They're on the brink of potentially getting bad, but they've been good for a while. The Rangers are on the cusp of getting better, but have not been great. The Leafs are the same, bless you, have been bad for a while, on the cusp of getting better, but have not been great for a long time. The Habs are kind of in perpetual mediocrity.
And so the thing that the problem you don't want to have, Jared, is you don't want to have what you have in British football, which is where you have League One, the top league, where you always have the same couple of teams winning. And the reason is that because no other team can financially get close to those teams. You have the London teams, so you have Arsenal, and these kind of teams who do really well, and then you have the places where football's all that matters. So Manchester City, Liverpool,
Man United,
and all this kind of stuff, where there's loads of money. Those teams will be the top 5 or 6 teams every year. It's very, very, very rare that you get someone else, because the problem is you have the top 5 teams, you have the next 5 teams, and then you have another 5 teams. The problem is that as soon as any player gets good on those bottom teams, the top teams will come in and go,
Thank you.
we can afford, then they just buy them out of the market, and it leads to a very boring league. It's good that those teams do well, but you don't want a cap so soft that it allows for teams to go, okay, we're just going to throw £100 million at this now and just make it so that, no one can beat us.
And that's where the severe luxury tax comes into play,
yeah.
right? So the benefit of that is that a luxury tax would go back into the league. And I mean, this is what the NBA has, right? And I know that the NBA, people still are a little upset about how the NBA is run because it's basically run by the players. We can't say that for legal reasons, but it's basically run by the players. Like LeBron James goes to the LA Lakers and then says, right, I'm here, go acquire these players. I don't care how you do it. Go get them and we'll win a title. Yeah. And look at what's happened. LeBron went there, they got Anthony Davis, and they won a title. But they have the luxury tax idea where, a big team like the LA Lakers can go and spend all this money and get all these players, but then pay a bunch of extra money because they went over the cap by X millions amount of dollars that then gets redistributed into the less fortunate teams so that they can maybe afford other players next year, in the future, whatever, and say a team like the Timberwolves can climb up in the rankings a little bit. And truly, I think the NHL could benefit from this as well.
Okay, I can kind of see where you're going with that. I just don't agree with stuff like English football where you have teams that, I mean, at one point, so Stevenage, Luton Town FC managed to make it to League 2. They were paying their players the yearly salary amount of money set aside for players for Luton Town Football Club was £8 million a year. They played a team that was demoted.
What? Sorry, you went a little.
Sorry, so Luton Town had £8 million a year
for their whole team.
Holy cow! They were playing against, at one point, Swansea FC, which were a League One team that got demoted. They were the worst in League One, and then they were playing Stevenage. They had an £80 million pot to pay for players. So that's where you have such a problem, because these teams come up and go, right, we're successful, we're building a good team, and then they play a team like that and just get destroyed, and I don't want to see that.
So is there a minimum that you have to spend?
There's a minimum, but there's no maximum.
So what is the minimum? Like 2 million?
No, the minimum is 6 million a year.
Wow, so that's pitiful.
Every team in, so this is League 2. Every team in League 2 gets £6 million a year to pay their players. In League 1, I think it's a lot higher. They get like 40 million.
I was going to say, I think so. Yeah.
But then you get teams like Arsenal, who aren't called Arsenal anymore, it's Saudi Emirates Arsenal or something, who have been bought by Saudis. There's no two ways about that. They've been bought by people from Emirates or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's, isn't it Saudi United Emirates or something like that?
Yeah. Who injected £600 million into the team one year. So that's then how they pay for some players.
Right.
Because they just go, here's lots of money.
Well, and so that at least some kind of cap would be good there. I think, as well, especially if you're in League 2 and you're paying $80 million.
Yeah.
Where the minimum is 6. Yeah. That's lunacy.
It's just dumb.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Now, you brought up as well, I think this is a bit of an overcorrection in English football, what they want to do, what FIFA wants to do. They want to bring in a hard cap for international football?
Well, so they want to limit the amount of money that certain people are being paid. The reason being...
like a contract cap?
Yeah.
More so than a team cap.
I would say a team cap you can do whatever you want with, but an individual player cap. Because if we go down the players at the moment... Now, this isn't a multiple years contract. This is this year. Lionel Messi is on 92 million.
Right.
Set to make 126 million with endorsements. I mean, over his 16 years in football, he's earned £1 billion. Billion with a B. Cristiano Ronaldo was signed to Juventus, which is another football team. 70 million.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Neymar is currently on for another Italian squad, 78 million.
Is that the guy that rolled down the sideline 18 times?
Yeah. And then you do start to get into still unreasonable amounts of money. 28 million, 24 million, 28 million, 28 million, 29 million, 28 million.
Right. We got it.
7 million. So
we got it.
I get that these guys are worth a lot of money. But
are they worth an entire NHL franchise's
no
expenses?
There is so many. I think that you could still get those guys to play if you turned around and went, right, we're not allowed to pay anyone any more than £25 million a year. Like, that's still, most of them are still going to get a lot of money. But if you say each player isn't allowed more than £25 million a year, that kind of slows the limit down.
Yeah, it is an interesting idea. I don't think I've ever heard of a league doing contract caps. Like, obviously,
ridiculous.
Right? Like, you have to look at. I mean, in the NHL, I don't think there's a contract cap. There might be. I don't know. There's a lot I don't know about the salary cap. But what I do know is that, you're not going to sign a player to $20 million because that's effectively 30% of your cap gone. You signed him to $20 million.
The NFL does that with quarterbacks, and they haven't figured out that it's dumb yet. But we're not here to correct them. But I just think that you need to rein it in a little bit.
It would be nice for some leagues to do that. I mean, I think it was Kyle Lowry for the Raptors in the NBA, just to put it in perspective, made $30 million this year.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's more money than I think most people need. I'm not saying that I want to, if these people are successful, they deserve to be successful. And whatever they go and do outside, because that money, by the way, isn't including Nike sponsorship deals and all the other sponsorship deals that these guys get. I'm just saying
Nike sponsorship deals. Nike. No.
There's not an IE at the end of it. N-I-A-E. Nike. We're going to argue. Let's not argue.
Right, it's not a British company.
Let's not argue about pronunciation on a podcast. Fucking hell.
At least I say Jaguar correctly.
Jaguar. There we go. You did it right. Okay.
Not Jaguar.
At least you don't say bloody Porsche.
Porsche.
Those guys
Jeremy
can go.
Clarkson says Porsche, doesn't he?
Yes, but he's wrong. It's a German word. They say it's Porsche.
Right.
It's German. They're a German company. It's Porsche. I think they just need to be reined in a little bit, if that makes sense. I like the idea of the salary cap in the NFL because, one, it means that as much as, yes, the players still get paid a decent amount, it means that it's a bit more fairly distributed. It means that
in theory,
it means that the teams are able to give back to the local communities a bit more. And it means that there's not as much money being thrown around and it doesn't get stupid.
And we do also need to factor in that there are different state taxes and different taxes in Canada, right? And they're right for the NHL, they're going to get paid in American dollars and living in Canada. So they're making more money that way, first of all. But you're going to be taxed more because you're living in Canada.
Yeah.
So, that all kind of factors into it too. But
yeah, I mean, and then you've got to think about, I don't even know who's the highest paid baseball player at the moment.
I remember this contract coming out. I forget though, but it was like $130 million in total for their contract. Or was it 300 something? It was absurd.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
It's just dumb.
Right. So we should be running sports is effectively what we're saying.
Yes.
And that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
We'll run sports and it'll all be better. And we wish better luck next week.
By the way, I know we're averaging between 14 to 50 viewers. If you're an NFL GM,
where are you seeing these numbers, Kev?
Just it's growing. Okay, we're growing. We're doing this bit at the moment. We're going to do next. If you're an NFL GM watching this, and you want us to do your quarterback meetings for you, we're good. We'll do it.
We don't have any skin in the game.
No, but I'm sure that I could get them for less. Or if not, I reckon I could get you a QB just as good for less.
Right. Well, wish better luck next week to all the losers this weekend. And we will see you in Gavin's Toronto Maple Leaf Pecs next week.